for? We're live. Hello.
We're like pre-live.
We're live, but still fiddling with things.
Yeah, we're just getting our monitor set up here.
It's okay. I'm content
What
to
do you got there?
sip on my white chocolate shaman mate latte. This is my fancy drink.
I'm afraid to go full screen with this, but I think we should.
All right.
Oh, we're still like 2 minutes early. We can just like dance. No, that's good.
There isn't a lot of room back here. I mean,
No, there's definitely not a
of all
lot
the
of
people
room
to say
for dancing.
we can dance, like I'm in, but
Yeah, you are the one who likes to dance, right? You have the only notes here today.
oh, I can share.
I'm realizing here that I have
The notes can go in the middle then.
failed to bring my notes. But I do have a bunch of samples and a bunch of stuff for us to talk about today. But how are you doing?
Good.
You
Real happy. I got an extra hour of sleep today.
Yeah, you have a little different shift today.
Yeah.
So
I traded, which was to my benefit because I get to sleep an extra hour. Which you probably can't tell in this video,
No.
but I'm pregnant, and so extra sleep is like heaven.
Yeah.
That's one of the best
I mean,
gifts.
you like to sleep in general, but
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
way more now.
Way more. Like I actually go to bed at a decent hour now. So.
Well, that's probably a very good thing.
And I don't have caffeine very often, and I'm enjoying one of my little caffeinated teas, and it is amazing. So if I get a little bit excited here, talking about the numbering,
So
that would be why.
say the name of this tea that you have.
White chocolate shaman mate latte with an extra pull. Yeah, it's my fancy drink.
Yeah, I go into the place and I'm like, "Do you guys have Lipton?" Because apparently that's black tea, right? Is that what it's actually called?
Well, Lipton has different kinds.
Oh,
Lipton's
man.
a brand.
Yes, I
So-
understand, but like,
In
it's
general,
just
that
like the
will get
regular, just regular tea.
In general, that will
with
get you
lots of
basic
sugar in it.
black tea. Yes.
Do you
But,
put sugar? Does this have sugar in it?
It has white chocolate, so yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
it has some sugar in it because
yes,
I
by
don't.
nature.
I was telling you about the oatmeal the one time. The first time I had oatmeal
Yes,
with that sugar in
yes.
it, I had no idea what was wrong with it.
Yeah, you're like.
Because I didn't
"This
realize
is
how much
disgusting."
sugar we put in
Your
oatmeal all the
parents,
time.
exactly.
Yeah. My father, who made dinner for breakfast, or breakfast for dinner, every time my mom was out of town. Good oatmeal, lots of sugar. And I mean, I can't do it without sugar. I
Oh,
don't-
yeah. You need lots of butter, some sugar, maybe some cinnamon.
We had daylight savings time over the weekend, actually. I don't know if you know that. Are we on daylight savings time or are we off daylight? I never know which
Now that
which
I
it
don't
is.
know. You just
But
asked a hard question.
I was out in the shop working on Sunday afternoon, and there was this moment of intense disappointment when I realized it was 8 o'clock
Yep.
because the daylight.
Yep.
It's light later, which is fantastic
is.
for a lot of reasons, but
It
man,
messes with you. I was disoriented when my alarm went off on Monday morning because I was like, it's too dark.
it's too
This
dark. It can't be right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's right. You live and you learn. You move on. So, because I mean, what else are you gonna do?
Well, be late for work.
Well, in this case, I guess you'd be early, but no, late.
No,
No,
no.
late. Dang it! I always get it wrong. So we're gonna talk about numbering and variable, as the signs behind us bear out. We're gonna talk about numbering and variable data. I think people understand what numbers are. Variable data may be a little bit confusing, so
Indeed.
let's talk about it a little bit.
Yeah.
When we talk about numbering, we're not just talking about putting page
numbers
numbers on
Nope,
things,
nope,
right?
Not page numbers. We're talking about sequential numbering. You know, like when people have tickets or invoices that need to be
Yeah,
1, 2,
yeah,
3, 4,
yeah.
etc. Or raffle tickets, like for example, where they've got the tear-off stub and they've got the other side,
Yeah.
and they need the number on both.
Same number on both.
Yep.
Because most like Word, Publisher, all those guys, they will allow you to number a page, to put a number somewhere on a page. Usually it's pretty restricted as to where you can put
Yeah.
it.
Word isn't the friendliest program, but
I know. See, I don't know very much about Word or Publisher because we don't use them regularly. We're using more layout-driven, graphic-driven kind of stuff. So I'm sure it can do a lot of stuff that I don't understand how to do. But it seems like it's limited to one number per page and a fairly small range of where you can put that number. Like you would number pages in a book, right? But if you got a page that's this size, I hope you don't have anything terrible in the back of this. you got a page that's this size, having one raffle ticket in the middle is not a very efficient way
Correct. Yep,
to do it.
Yeah.
So you
We've
need to
got
have
snazzy
multiple
programs.
the numbers in multiple places.
Exactly. And our machines are so wonderful that they number them and they stack them behind each other.
Yeah,
So,
okay, yeah.
which an example is going to make that a little easier to understand. But when you print out a big sheet, if you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, then after you cut them, you have to order them all.
Yeah, so like this guy
that's a good
here.
one. Yeah.
So this looks weird because you have 100, like those numbers don't make any sense. But when you have a stack of these that you're cutting apart, 100,
you want
101,
behind it.
102,
So on and
so
so
you have a big stack so that when you cut them, these are all in sequence. And we have had many times people come in with a file that
Where
is
they've
1,
managed to
2,
number it,
3,
which is
4.
great. And sometimes they've literally done it manually. They've literally hand put that
Yes.
number in every block, which is tragic for them.
They want us to cut them apart, and then they realize.
And then they realize they're going to have to literally collate every
Yeah.
single one of those to get
And if
them
you got
in order.
10,
Exactly. Not
But
a
if
big
you
deal.
got
thousands.
500, 1,000.
Yep.
That definitely changes the math a little bit on how to do that. So let's talk about numbering a little bit here, because that's probably the most accessible part and easy to talk about, easy to explain here. You talked about raffle tickets. Like here's an example. These are some crude mock-ups that I have built. So this is for a well-known dog sledding organization. Yeah, there you go. We have altered these, and these are not real legitimate tickets, but we've made these for demonstrations. But this has a, if I can see it correctly, has a number here that matches up with a number over here, so that when you tear this perforated
The customer
raffle
gets
part
one
off,
part, they keep the information part, and voila.
and voila. So this is a single, but we would make these in books for a lot of customers. Let's
Yeah,
go
a lot
by
of
it again.
times they staple them in little packs of 10, because people will have deals where if you
Yeah.
buy 10 raffle tickets, it's cheaper, but then they come off. in a
Yeah,
great
but
big
this
sheet
is how we're printing them. We're printing
Yeah.
them on a large sheet that then gets cut apart,
to whatever custom
incredibly
size they
efficient, and then allows for the cost to be as low as possible because we are using as much paper
estate.
for every single print we make for you.
need. Exactly.
We also did,
These ones are fun. I don't think I saw these.
yeah, so this was a similar but different sample to what we talked about. So this
That's
is,
cute.
this is a ticket for a local high school for their senior ball, and they had a like airline theme kind of situation going on
travel,
for their
yeah.
masquerade ball.
Adorable.
Yeah, and so this was also perforated. There's a number here at the bottom, and then a number over here on the tear-off portion. And yeah, it was a kind of a fun project. They had done some of the layout work that we ended up having to tweak a little bit, and then we added numbers. So we can easily take artwork that customers have already.
Yeah, you can start a mock-up
Yeah.
and still need us to do a little editing for you, and that's totally fine. A lot of times that even gives us a starting point of what you want.
Yeah.
If you have any sort of computer abilities, design abilities, and you just really need it polished, you can bring us something, preferably, that's the one unfortunate thing is our graphic designer doesn't work with Illustrator. So if you just do design it in something like Word, sometimes things don't translate from program to program super well. But if it's just a rough mock-up, then that kind of gives her a starting point to polish it up.
Sure. But we can either start with that and do the work. We can
Go from scratch.
or take their file, take the customer's file, and simply add numbers into a space that they've left for us. So it ends up being fairly accessible for most people. Invoices. These are small receipts that we do for our friends over at, they have a lot of different names.
Arctic Taxi,
yeah.
Fairbanks Taxi. Yeah, Fairbanks Taxi is the parent company.
So it's just a numbered invoice that we make for them, and then this is a loose one, but it's on multi-part, so that they write on the top. It goes through, so the
They're
customer.
off, everyone gets one. You got your records, and they are numbered sequentially.
And I actually, my last Monday, I guess, had an electrician out at my house to work on something. We were talking about his invoice books, and so to do a whole custom, like half sheet invoice situation, have his
Where they
logo,
book
have
where
their
they-
numbers, and all that good
Exactly.
stuff. Yeah.
And the books are really handy because then you can keep the yellow copy in the book.
in the
You
book,
tear
yeah.
off, or vice versa. You tear off whichever one you want the customer to have. You've still got your sequentially numbered receipts in your book
Yep.
to store for the year. However you do it. A lot of our folks have a receipt book that lasts them 5 years. Some of them it's like I've got a 2018 receipt book, a 2019 receipt book. They file it, etc. So yeah, it's a really good system, and it allows you to have it organized, numbering, so that you actually have a system of reference.
So another, I showed that large sample of this guy here, but these are bidder cards. So there's an auction organization. My daughter is texting me to say hello. There is an auction organization in town that does these cards. They normally have logos and stuff here. And so every bidder has a number. So this is a good segue to variable data. So that's kind of the confusing way of saying specific information gets tied together and printed. So
say you have an Excel file.
Yes.
You have an Excel
I have an
file.
Excel file.
Yes.
Or you have an Excel file. That's how you told me to say it. Yes.
And it is a list of names. Everyone at your company, or everyone in your family, or something like that. And you need these names to be printed on all these pieces, these otherwise identical pieces. You just need the name to change. Instead of sitting there and typing 100 names, we can take that Excel file and have it imported as variable data. And it will actually input those names in that same slot over and over and over. That way, there's no tedious typing of all the names. If you know it's right in the Excel file, it imports that exact thing into the document, and voila.
I feel like a super accessible example for most people, especially most people in Fairbanks, is like the Fred Meyer Rewards mailer you get. Right?
How they have your name on it?
Yeah, well, and so you're a rewards member, so you're swiping your card, you're purchasing a bunch of stuff on a weekly basis, and basically you're trading that information for cheap gas, right? You're saying, give me whatever off of my gas, and I'll let you know everything I ever buy. And so that information then is used to create that packet. When you get your rewards packet with your little rebate in there and coupons and whatnot, all of that is tailored to you. Yours is not like mine, and mine is not like yours. I'm probably not gonna have diapers in mine. There was a time, and there will be a time again someday when I get quite old.
Grandbabies.
I was talking about me, but yes, also grandbabies.
Ooh,
it's a cycle. We start there and we end there.
So they have a database that's collecting all this information, and then similarly to what we do, but on a
much bigger scale. Yes.
They just import that database to put the variable data on there. Okay, well this is Geoff, so his name needs to go here, and this coupon needs to be here, and this coupon needs to be here based on his purchases. And it's using that same database to do that for the thousands of people that are getting this little packet in the mail every
I think it's a quarter.
Couple
I think
months?
it's a quarter. Yeah, something like that. So now shrink that idea down a little bit, because I would imagine most of you are not collecting quite that much granular information on your customers.
Yeah, probably not.
But there are things that you know because of an exchange of information that you have with your customers, maybe a name and address, and maybe it's not customers, maybe it's part of a civic organization or something like that, where you have members. I didn't print this one up, but we do membership cards for a local organization.
Expiration date would have to be variable on every single one of those.
So they have a database they give us. Now, so database is a big fancy word, but really Excel spreadsheet is what we're talking about. Some way to keep rows and columns separate from one another, right? And so they would have, names, dates, addresses, expiration dates, those kind of things in there, so that we do a template. We do a format on there that says, here's where you put the first name, here's where you put the last name, here's where you put the expiration date. And every one of those cards
Mm-hmm.
uses the same template, but they're all different.
Yeah, and they might
based
have
on the
5
information.
different slots of variable data. So
Yeah.
it becomes same idea as numbering. We've got a little box where we want the number to change
Yeah.
every time, but instead we've got 5 different things that are going to change with every card.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, so this in front of us is a good example of a real simple example of variable data. So this is how this comes off the machine for us. It's a table tent that basically has the customer, the person's name on the front and facing them, so it can be seen from both sides. And it has their name and then their
Title
organization.
Or organization.
And
you can have whatever you want.
You can have,
there,
whatever
you can
kind
have
of
where
information.
they're coming from. I think that one of the places we do this
Yeah.
for, they have name, title, and then where they're from at the bottom. So whether that's Fairbanks, Alaska, or Australia.
Yeah.
So it just kind of has these identifiers that you can easily associate with the person. You can just have it at their little spot in front of them, and then that way introductions are much easier, and you're labeling that person's spot.
But this, you could type this up yourself
Yeah,
if you
can
have
do it
a
million
handful,
times.
right?
Yeah.
But you've got to do it right. In this case, you got to do it right twice on this
Yep,
on
and you
every
have to
page.
have one upside down because it has to flip.
Ideally, they need to be in the same place, and so you've got to be able to repeat that over and over and over again. So the ability to then take that list and instead of typing it over and over again, having our software just drop the things in the spot so that you are guaranteed that this name will match this name because they can't not match each other. And that all these things will match up perfectly. It really is a massive time saver if you have more than just a few of those.
Yep, exactly.
Do you want to talk about those surveys? That was a wild one.
Yeah, that was a wild one. I mean, this can go as far as kind of actually along the lines of how crazy amounts of data like Fred Meyer's report card would do.
Yeah.
Surveys. I mean, they had so many variations of, or not variations, so many fields that needed different information. So you've got the name, but then that name in the database was associated with their area. That area was associated with how many people are in that area. Of those people, that's associated how many people are taking this survey. And so you have so many different variables, and then it's asking questions based on these individual stats. So this survey had, we're talking like 30 different pieces of variable data, and it would change everything on the survey according to who was being input.
So there would be,
it was actually really
based
impressive.
on your area or whatever, you might get different,
Exactly.
a different portion.
Exactly. So it was actually really impressive, very tedious, but it's doable. You know, if you've collected enough information on someone and you really need these letters to go out that have a lot of different variables. I mean, there's really no better way to say it. That's doable. If you have your information organized right, anything's possible. We can just tell it, this field needs to change according to this field needs to change with this person, this field needs to change with this person. It was really neat to see. It's also stressful because you're like,
you've got to get it all right.
There's 30 pieces on this, and a lot of it's numbers. Like, I have no way to look at that and just know if it's correct. So you're referencing back to the database, you're just, triple checking everything. But really, really cool that is something that's possible.
Sure. And it's probably worth noting that we're not collecting this information. Like, it's a customer provided. You have a certain amount of information that you want to use, and we help you organize that information and put it together in the way that will help you. We're not finding information out about your customers or your members. You are providing that based on a hopefully agreed upon exchange of information between the two of you. I read an article one time that said that Target, because of all the information they collect, which I'm hoping is agreed upon information. I'm hoping it's not some other kind of nefarious
Well, it's
thing.
agreed upon, but it's always that sort of vague, you have to hit this button to continue anyway. So you agree to it without actually knowing.
But with the amount of information they're collecting, and this is relevant to you, they can tell when a woman is pregnant before she does. Before she knows.
No.
Because of all these different markers of the kind of purchases, because they have tons of information
That's kind of
on
creepy.
people. Like, yes, it's super
That's-
creepy. And the gist of the article was how to use the information you've collected without being creepy. When you
Right.
have so much information
Right.
from so many people,
If
how do you use it without
Target
being
sent
weird?
me a pregnancy announcement
Yep.
for myself, I would be very displeased.
And then you found out, or you had found out the day before that you were
Right,
pregnant, and
right.
you're like, what?
Yep,
Yeah, that's
yep.
creepy.
Yep.
Super creepy.
Well-
So don't be creepy.
please
But
don't be creepy.
if
Well,
there's a way to organize the
this is
information to help you and your customers.
another great example, and I you might have been gone for this, but here at work, my coworker Melinda gets a phone call, and it seemed like a sales call, but this guy was either clever enough or had a database on us, and he's like, "Oh, well, Ashley Swibold said I should call you."
Yeah.
And we were both like, what? I was very surprised at the tactic there. I mean,
Sure.
first of all, they probably didn't know we're a small enough office that she could just put the phone and be like,
Yeah,
Ashley,
look right at
did
you. Do you know this person? Yeah.
Exactly. But that's a really good way to make someone question before they hang up on
It
a
seems
sales
to lend
call.
credibility to the person on the phone.
Exactly.
So don't be a
Yes,
weirdo.
Yes, use your
But
powers for good, not evil.
If you're sending out a postcard to customers, using a name field, like you know the customer, you know who you're mailing it to,
Yep.
using their name in the copy,
Exactly.
that's a very powerful
draws
way to make a
extra
connection.
attention to it instead of
I love seeing
just
my name on
throwing away.
things. Hashtag narcissism. Anyway.
Yes.
Yeah, so the idea of this is to just maybe spur some thought to make people realize here are some possibilities. I think in a lot of cases, there are some services like this that we offer that people don't realize are even possible. They don't
Exactly.
realize that that's something that
Exactly.
can be done. And so if for your business or your civic organization, whatever you're into, being able to take the information that you have and present it in a different way, or do something like these table cards or some variation, something like that.
Name
quickly
tags
and easily.
is a,
Name
is a
tags,
really
yeah.
good one
Yeah.
too. That's something that we've done a lot of over
Yeah.
the years.
And generally, it's whenever there is multiple pieces of information that need to be held together, right? You don't want to have Morgan Freeman with the wrong organization because you forgot to cut and
Exactly.
paste something,
Exactly.
right? Because then Morgan Freeman, who is basically our homie at this point,
I mean, yeah, he's been in almost every appearance in almost every episode.
he's
Yeah.
eventually either going to sue us
or show up.
or show up. Ideally, he's going to show up. Morgan, we love you. We have no ill will. But yeah, you don't want someone to be upset because a piece of information about them is wrong or their organization is misrepresented.
It's
So
awkward.
yeah.
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 And then I guess the final thing that kind of ties into is, if you haven't already extrapolated this, is that with all that variable data, with an Excel file with names, addresses, we can then print those addresses on envelopes. So for example,
Sure.
wedding invitations, rather than trying to handwrite or label hundreds sometimes of
Yeah.
envelopes.
Oh yeah.
If you just have it in an Excel file, we can import that as variable data onto an envelope and print all those addresses out with your return address in the corner. Saves you a lot of time. So it's the same concept, but then we get into like the mailing side of things, which I'm sure we'll talk about
Which we'll
another
talk
time.
about soon, yeah.
But yeah, so addressing is basically the same thing
Yeah.
as variable data.
Yeah, it is like variable data light. So variable data is like mail merge on steroids. Right?
Yes, it can be.
Yeah. I mean, to the point where you can have photographs that are different for every person
That's
on
an
your list.
excellent one. Yeah. Some of the mailings we do are postcards for realtors.
Realtors.
And so one will be an image of one house, and the other postcard will be an image of a different house, and they have to go to different addresses, but they can still be mailed together to make a bulk mailer, which means special rates and all that fun stuff.
Yep.
So yes, anything. It doesn't have to just be text. We can make the images variable as well.
Yeah. Based on your data, we can't just pick who gets what images. And so, but if any of that is interesting or piques your curiosity a little bit, give us a call, 479-3831 here in Fairbanks, Alaska, or go to datelinedigital.com. You can get to us through there. We'd love to talk to you about what the possibilities
we love
are.
problem solving for, sometimes people don't necessarily know what they want or need, but when they know, oh, they do that, I wonder if that would work for this. that's awesome. We really enjoy being able to figure out what's possible.
Yeah, well, and my favorite thing as a consumer is finding that thing that I didn't know I needed. That sounds weird,
Well,
but
yes.
like where you're like, oh my goodness, this will
didn't know
make
this existed.
this will
My
make my
life
life
is-
so much easier.
Exactly.
That's me and projects in the shop.
Yep.
I like eventually Google around and I find some tool that I didn't know existed. Like, oh, that's how people do this. I've been really
Why
ham-fisting
was
this
I-
for a long time. Yeah. So I hope this is something that maybe kind of says, oh wow, there's a better way to go about this. There's an easier way, so that you can continue to do the good work you do, and let us do the good work we do, and free your time up a little bit. So.
Yep.
I think that's it.
I think you covered it, and you remember to do the whole website thing.
You know, once in a while. It is on there, but
dateline.com.
it's not a bad idea to say it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's been fun again. Until next week.
I'm caffeinated. They get to deal with this the rest of the day.